What's up, Tom?
How's it
Tom.
going? Yeah, Tom BuildSync, actually.
Tom BuildSync at BuildSync. That's
Yeah,
your new
that's it. That's
BuildSync at
it. That's it.
BuildSync.
I'm so dedicated to improving the lives of PEs, PMs when it comes to submittals that I changed my name to BuildSync.
No, I like it. We were actually
That's it.
joking to everybody else out there that would, his forefathers many generations ago, crafted his surname as BuildSync, knowing where he was going to lead his life.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, back in London in the 1900s when they were sweeping chimneys, they were thinking one day my great grandson is going to, be half of a company that reviews submittals across North America. So, that's it. That's it. Yeah. How long has it been? When did we last do one? I know it's been a few now, but it's been a little while.
January, February? It's been a few months.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I wanted to get you back on here to kind of show everybody while we're waiting on everyone to join, to kind of show what you've been building. On the submittal review side. I know you've had some, improvements and changes and upgrades and everything else that goes with it. And then also in the generation side.
Yeah. Yeah. As always, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? It's like 3 months is a long time in technology. I mean, I always kind of say that, like, in the world of technology, early stage technology companies, things happen a lot faster, certainly than they did when I first started my career in this space 15 years ago. But also, you actually tend to age in dog years. So like a 1 year in a startup is kind of like 7 years in, that kind of analogy. And you can tell because my gray streak, actually, if you watch all of the streams, my gray streak is becoming more pronounced throughout every stream that we've done. So that's why I put my head to this side now, instead of looking like Cruella de Vil over here.
Got the same. You can probably see my generation of kids and memes just as I get older.
Yeah, that's it.
My whiskers are a little bit more gray and everything else.
Salt and pepper, silver fox, as they say,
So we're waiting on, LinkedIn to get everybody notified and get over here. If you're here, let us know you're here. We can't see. I see that there's a few people here coming in, but if you're here, let us know, kind of where you're calling in from, and if you've been watching soccer, who you're cheering for. I think Tom's cheering for England.
I am cheering for England. Yeah, I am certainly cheering for it. The US, I've been here for nearly 10 years, and I am going for my citizenship. So I am certainly still supporting, the boys in red, white, and blue, but I have to believe it's coming home.
Is that a citizenship test? Like, do you renounce English soccer?
Yeah, that's it. That's one of the things I've got one more World Cup, basically. Yeah, I got one more World Cup, and then it has to be straight America. You
have to renounce the term football and call it soccer. That's what it is.
Mate, you know what? I just can't go there. I just can't go there.
Over the line.
If that's that's too far. That's too far. I did though. I was talking to my dad last week, and I did say to him, "Are you watching the soccer?" And he said quite quickly, "What did you just say?" So it's it's still. I do like the US fans though. They've been saying it's called soccer. That chant, they're going for it. They're putting their flag down and saying we're not changing. We're keeping it as it's going. So
here we got. I'm gonna pop some people up here. We got Chris calling in from Austin, just down the road from me.
Awesome. I love Austin. Austin's a great spot.
It is. I lived there for 7 years, something like that.
Long time. Soccer calling in from Wyoming.
We got from Dallas.
Oh, Leah. Yeah, we spoke yesterday. Thanks for joining. Thank you.
This is a good one.
The link there.
Calling in from Indiana. Can't watch soccer. Too busy doing submittals by hand.
Oh, no, we're going to change that. We're going to change. You guys are like having the best tournament. America's having. Well, presuming you're supporting America, we'll fix that. Please reach out to me after this, and we'll get you set up in a trial. You can run through those, and you can go watch the football.
Hopefully, he can break away tomorrow night. Tomorrow night watch US play.
Who are they playing tomorrow?
Bosnia. I'm gonna butcher this name, but Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah. I stick with Bosnia.
I saw like a meme. We're wasting all our time. We got to get into this middle stuff, but I saw a meme that like it was like breaking news: U.S. is getting screwed. They're the first country ever to have to play 2 teams at once. Anyway,
that's it. Shall I share my screen so we can at least start?
Yeah, let's get going. Enough soccer.
Yeah, let's get cracking.
Okay.
Share my screen, entire screen. Let's see this.
So guys, if you haven't seen one of these live stream demos before, what we do is obviously Tom walks us through. It's a live stream demo. You know, it's showing. He's lying. He's showing his website, but the idea is not to show the marketing website. It's to show the actual software, and we want it to be interactive. Throw out your comments, throw out your questions, throw out your skepticism, and we just want to have a conversation. We'll throw it up on the screen. Is Luke in the chat? Yeah, Luke's in the chat. There he is.
Yeah. And as usual, guys, as Matt said, Matt's going to surface any questions that are good for the group. If you do have like very niche questions related to how BuildSync might handle a particular submittal scenario, Luke, my co-founder, and really, you know, the brains behind BuildSync, is in the chat, as Matt said, so he'll be jumping in.
Awesome. So what is BuildSync? You want to tell us?
Let's go. So Luke and I started the company, and really the origin story starts with Luke. So, you know, you may have seen Luke's done some podcasts, actually with yourself, Matt, on YouTube. But Luke was a mechanical engineer, worked for mechanical subcontractors for 10 years. And to be really plain, he just hated dealing with submittal reviews. So I met Luke about 4 years ago now, and Luke was explaining to me in kind of frustrating detail what a submittal review was. And I was like, look.
There's no way you're doing this.
Yeah, this like 2022, 23. I was like, I just come out of a technology company we'd sold. I was like, there's got to be a better way. And he was like, there isn't. And he was like, shall we do it? And I was like, let's. And so that's kind of the origin story. But basically, we're the submittal guys. We review submittals, and we generate submittal packages for subcontractors and supply houses as well. But really how the software is used, if we jump straight into the platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the plans and specs of your project, and your subs or your vendors. They're going to start to trickle in with your submittals. Now, what you're going to do is you're just going to jump to buildsync.ai. You're going to log in, and that is going to show you your project screen. Now, project screen is really simple. As you can see, it just shows you the projects you have set up on the system. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but to add a project, you happen to click add project, you fill in the details, and the first thing BuildSync will take you through to is it will take you through to your plans and specs screen. Now, what this screen is designed to do, as the name suggests, is essentially ingest your project plans and your specifications. So what we're going to do that is we're going to click upload design document, choose my specs, choose my drawings. Now, one of the really common questions that we get asked here is, is there any like upper context limits that you might see with other, AI solutions? The short answer is no. So if you've got like a 1,500-page spec book, just upload that directly into BuildSync. If you've got 500 pages of drawings, upload those into BuildSync. If you even happen to get a drawing revision or an ASI or something, just upload that into BuildSync. It's, doesn't matter. Now, I want to stop here for a second, just kind of clarify something. So for our users, most of our subcontractors that use BuildSync are just using us as a standalone application. A lot of our GCs are actually running BuildSync through Procore, which we are a Procore partner. We are essentially built directly into the submittal review workflow within inside of Procore. And if you are a GC that is using Procore, all of this setup stuff, the projects, the adding of the design documents, that's all kind of taken care of for you. It'll automatically create projects through the API, automatically pull in plans and specs. So you just don't have to worry about that stuff. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to submittal review, and this is really where, you know, the sort of the main body of the functionality of BuildSync lives. This is where the submittals get reviewed. So what we can see here, I try to cover not all bases, but some bases. So we've got Div 23 submittal here, and then we've got some lighting protection system here, Div 26. Now, let's start with Div 23. So when we upload a submittal in BuildSync, if it's come from Procore, or it's been directly uploaded, or it's been uploaded via email, the BuildSync puts the submittal through 4 very distinct stages. The first thing the BuildSync will do is it will extract out all of the products that made up the submittal. So this here, guys, it just doesn't matter how many products are going to be on the submittal. You can have one. You can have, I think one of the largest lighting fixture submittals we saw was actually from a company in Houston, and it was roughly 1,000 pages lighting fixture package, and it was 100 different fixtures.
Jeez.
So yeah, you know, we did that on a trial actually for them. They signed up pretty quickly after that because they were like, if it can handle this, it can, you know, kind of do anything.
When you first showed me and you told me to do a trial, and I uploaded, what was it? It was VAVs, right? And it had
I remember.
It had like 10 or 12 different sizes of VAVs. And I was like, there's no way it's going to decipher this. It's all just lumped together, right? And
yeah.
Blown away. It's like, it could actually. And then I also did door hardware, and it was the same thing, right? It was a bunch of stuff just messy. And I was like, there's no way. Like, this is useless. And I was like, holy crap. Like, it did.
Yeah. We love that. And I mean, look, guys, if you just follow any of the stuff that I put out on LinkedIn, I probably say, and I'm a terrible broken record, I probably say like at least once a week, hey guys, like, just please give us your worst submittals. Like, don't give us like a nice little, you know, ball valve submittal that's 3 pages or something. Like when we get Div 9 stuff, I always like kind of rub my hands in glee because I'm like, these guys are going to like this. It's just, you know, it's always a winner. But look, as I was saying, look, so first thing, we break down all of the products. The second thing is we will then go into the products themselves and we'll break out the technical characteristics of these products. So it's fairly like intuitive to read. Left-hand side is the submittal characteristic. That's just, you know, what's on the submittal. Design characteristic. I think of that as just our design requirement. And then, of course, we have our status column, which essentially is indicating, is this failing, meaning it's no good, it's non-compliant? Is this potentially ambiguous? So BuildSync has classified it as unknown, and we'll jump into that. Or is this good? You know, it's passing, it meets your plans and specifications. Now, just something to address how BuildSync operates. I'm sure all of you on this webinar, you know, you obviously haven't expressed interest in learning how artificial intelligence can help. But the thing is about AI is like AI is really good, but with these like niche details type stuff, it just isn't perfect. And so how BuildSync kind of surmounts that challenge is that we have an AI model that we've essentially built on the front end, and we have a layer, a QA layer, if you will, of licensed engineers that will validate data when necessary before it's returned back to the customer. So that allows me to just kind of give you the warm, fuzzy feeling that you're not going to see any, you know, kind of nonsensical hallucinations generated by BuildSync, and you can have a very high degree of trust in the integrity of the submittal data we return back to you.
I think that's the part that most people don't actually like. You say that louder because it's like,
yeah, actually, I know.
Like the AI looks at it first, and then you actually have real life people doing a quality check on it as well.
Correct. Yeah.
All built,
and they're engineers. They're not just like, I'm not an engineer, you know, it's just not me.
I'm not looking at it.
Yes. It's like we have licensed engineers that validate this data. That was kind of the bet we made when we started the business, because we kind of, you know, we kind of presented this as, we think that our customers care very, very deeply about the integrity and the accuracy of the submittals that are being reviewed. Otherwise, they just wouldn't, from a generic kind of like model that's out there, if you get 50% accuracy and you prompt cycled it to death, you'd be kind of lucky, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so our customers just say to us, we want a complete solution. So,
yeah.
But let's jump into these examples, guys, because I think this is where it really gets interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at one of these failures here, just so we can see what's going on.
Just
to remind, files.
Just a reminder, anybody that's joined, because I see the numbers have gone up. Anybody that's joined, we want this to be interactive. We want it to be conversational. We want it to be everything. So as we're going, if you have questions, just drop a question in the comment, and we'll pull it up on stage. If I don't get Tom's co-founder Luke's in the chat, and he can address all kind of the more nuanced questions too. So
yeah, for sure. So yeah, look, if I check out this failure, this first one, so let's see what's going on. So what happens when we hit see text? We can see left-hand side, we've got the submittal value. So we can see here the manufacturer and the model. It's GreenHeck VCD-23. We can see the manufacturer model, same GreenHeck, but we've actually got an ICD-45. So what we'll notice, guys, is that whenever BuildSync fails something, it always gives you contextual reasons as to why it has made that determination. So in this situation, BuildSync has remarked that the VCD rather -23 is a lighter duty controlled dampener intended for standard airflow regulation. The submittal product is not comparable to the ICD-45 model with respect to performance and materials. So, what we find as well is that when we've got people maybe earlier in their careers that are using BuildSync, they tend to find that BuildSync actually teaches them like these kind of niche use cases, for want of a better phrase, that they might not have known to just validate themselves. So that contextual remarks is always super important. What is more important is actually seeing it. So if we hit see files, what we're going to see here is just a split screen view. Left-hand side is going to be the original copy of my submittal. The right-hand side is going to be the plans or the specs, just depending on what it is compared against. And so we can see here. And again, when you're on a plans page rather, there's always a little bit of hovering around you need to do, but that's not too difficult. We've got control dampers here. So I got the control dampers, and I can then zoom in. And I can just verify any of this stuff. So I can see, look, we can in fact see, yes, ICD-45 has been called out on the plans, and that does not correspond with the submittal itself, hence why BuildSync flagged it. And also as well, these product details, this is another characteristic that BuildSync has pulled out, but we can see here that there's some conflicts. So just so we're clear on that, whenever BuildSync finds failures on submittals, it will mark it up onto the submittal itself, which just makes it nice and easy for you to send back to your subcontractor, your vendor, or maybe even send through to the design team just to get clarifications on.
So to be clear there, like the red lines you're seeing there, BuildSync put that on. That wasn't put on by a project engineer or somebody reviewing it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the BuildSync system did that.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. Yeah. It's weird. We went to some guys in Denver, an early customer of ours, and they were taking BuildSync's output and marking up submittals. And Luke and I were there. And I think one of them asked Luke, Luke was watching over someone's shoulder, seeing it used in the wild. And Luke said, oh, yeah, we can just totally do that. And they were like, really? You can? So, yeah, totally. I don't think that's going to be particularly challenging. Yeah. And about a month later, we released it. It's super popular with all our customers now.
So hold on, go back to that just where you were. I want to touch on something real quick. This is a comment that, it doesn't matter if it's BuildSync or any other tool out there. Like, I put out a lot of content about, using AI and other tech tools of, making your project engineers more efficient, not locking your interns into the job trailer for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. Yeah. But the big pushback is, well, hey, if, this is how people learn the job. This is how people learn the stuff, is by looking through these things.
Big pushback.
And I'm like, yes, but, and what I love about how BuildSync works is it's not, it's kind of doing it all for you, but also it's holding your hand and just getting you to the answer faster, but it's still up to you to do that final verification and check.
Totally.
You're still learning the job. But it's just doing the side by side of the spec or the equipment schedule in the plans next to the cut sheet, and so you can still compare and look and learn it all without having to thumb through thousands of sheets trying to find the right sheet.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, like there's another part to that argument. And look, you know, some people, they're not go, and I don't mean this in a, you know, a negative sense. They're not going to let that go. They're going to be like, they're kind of going to die on that hill. They're going to be like, I had to learn this way, therefore you have to learn this way. And that there is certainly some merit in that line of thinking. I think for us, the kind of, to flip it on its head, is that I'm not sure that you learn a ton by going through what is in some senses just a data matching exercise. Mm-hmm. I actually think you learn a lot more by having insights put in front of you and then making determinations on, well, actually, what we've caught here technically does fail, but the design team I'm working with are going to be tolerable of this fail. Or no, this is actually really critical. If I send this over to my design team as is, they're just going to kick it back to me after 2 weeks. Then I'm going to kick it back to my sub for 2 weeks. And then the whole merry-go-round of submittal review starts again. So it's kind of, we like to position ourselves as not making judgment calls, but helping you make good judgment calls.
I like that. Because, I mean, sometimes, too, I think you've even showed me there's been some times where it'll say it fails, right? But you look at it and you're like, maybe it's just because it's getting smarter every time you show me of understanding, even if it doesn't say the exact words, that it still means what it means, right? Yeah. But there's going to be times it may say this fails because it says this, but you're like, oh, well, that's actually the same thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now, so the pattern that we're noticing as well, like what our customers are doing, is that so they're coming into here, and this is something we released. You know, they're checking out these failures, they're checking out the sort of unknowns. But one of the patterns we're noticing now is you can actually talk to your submittals. So this was recently released functionality. So for example, if I said, you know, give me email that I can send to my subcontractor to address these failures. There we go. Lovely. And we can just ask it. We can just ask BuildSync to have a think and actually generate me an email that I can send directly to my subcontractor. So as we can see here, it's generated an email. What we can also do, though, is we can use this tool to like talk to our submittals. And I think really the principal value of the ability to communicate with submittals is to have a prioritization of like what to work on. So this example here, we have 2 submittals, and this is, you know, just for the demo. But for many of these projects we're getting set up, you know, Luke and I call it the flood. We start with a customer, they start using us, you know, maybe they sign up maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they know submittal phase is going to start. And then the barrage just, you know, it's like the dam breaks and we get like 100 submittals. And we're seeing the behavior of our beta users of this to be able to actually come in and say, you know, in general, tell me about the failures for these submittals. And so it's kind of just giving you the ability to like communicate with the submittals and understand, okay, what do I need to work on here? Like, what's the the most pressing submittals that out of 100 I might have, what ones do I actually need to like really focus on, really pay attention to, like, because these could be, you know, critical path, piece of equipment with long lead times, and my subs just kind of messed up the submittal and I need them to get to resubmit it pretty quickly. And so, yeah, we released this conversational AI feature about a week ago. It's been in beta testing for a while now, and it's going to be publicly available 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks probably. But yeah, especially for those scenarios that I mentioned where there's just so much work and you want to prioritize what to work on, it's just super helpful.
Yeah. I like that right there. Like if say you've got 100 submittals and you've got all divisions in there, and you can say, you know, tell me about their failures, and it comes back and says all these one's by, say, your lighting, right? Or maybe they're all your electrician, and it's just like they're all like in just stupid mistakes. The you can just like almost carte blanche push it back and be like, dude, like
what is going on?
retry everything again. Like you're so far off.
Yeah, because that was one of the things we got. Feedback was, when we've got like a ton of submittals, we are the Ps and PMs and everyone using us was kind of like, I'm not sure which ones to work on first. I obviously get the report back in Procore, but to just be able to log into the platform to understand what ones I need to work on as well has been super valuable.
So when this plugs into Procore, I just wanted to think through this. So this plugs into Procore. I mean, obviously it'll work in Procore, but it also pulls it all over to this platform too.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
You do that. So if everyone's uploading, you're just basically just throwing in 100 submittals at once, right? And you don't know what to look at. Could you basically upload your list of long lead time items and say, like, help me look at these first, and then it'll hold your hand and take you to that, and you can knock them out that way?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And again, guys, I want to be like super clear on this like functionality here. This is it's not available publicly at the moment. It's going to be available in the coming weeks. But it's always evolving. We're always I was just with our lead engineer yesterday, kind of uncovering use cases and how we can, what more we can do for our customers. It's it's very much a work in progress. So we've got some, essentially we want to give you carte blanche access to be able to communicate with the submittal data that you have again, as I said, a high degree of confidence is correct as well. So yeah. We're at 10:30. Yeah, 10:28. Oh, sorry, 10:28 here in Arizona.
We got one more question. I'm gonna pop
please, please.
Keon says, Keon Dillon? I guess it's the first one, Keon. Anyway, what's up, man? Curious about submittals that need checks against the drawings as well as specs. We're just looking at a spec there. Like, for example, manhole shop drawings. Is it able to compare elevations, pipe sizes, angles to the drawings?
Great question. Great question. I'll be very, very clear. So BuildSync does not review shop drawings. The longer answer to that question is that having the ability for AI to contextualize shop drawings is just like a programmatic nightmare. And so even if you were to use the research that I've seen that was released this January, where they took AEC drawings and they tried to have it interpret, for like structural steel shop drawings, they tried to have it like count the beams and then kind of reconcile that. The actual rate that they were seeing was around about 40%. To me, that's just not a sellable product. Yeah. And so anything pertaining to dimensions, like actual drawings themselves, BuildSync's not going to touch. So when we talk about drawings, we're talking about things like schedules, general notes, text-based information in general. But Keon, watch this space, because we're spending a lot of money on R&D trying to figure out the puzzle to drawings alongside it, but I don't think, or at least I deeply suspect, we're not going to see anything significant released for quite a few years, with the capabilities to really AI contextualizing drawings themselves.
Just wait. Something will be released next week and you'll have
yeah, totally. And if it does, brilliant. Great. Yeah. If it does, Kim, if you see that, chat, send me a message in a week. Yeah, and we'll get it spun up, because it's a strategic priority for us, but we just don't, it's like Luke always explains to me, there's different components to the problem, and one of the components is related to actual computer vision and not necessarily AI. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a long goal.
I've got two people actually asked the same question. Will it integrate into Autodesk Forma?
Of course. ACC? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I only use Procore. We're friends with everyone, I like to say. Autodesk is great. We do just have more customers on Procore, but Autodesk doesn't matter. It's no problem.
All right, you want to keep rolling?
Anyone else?
That's the comments. The live stream is about 30 seconds behind, so I'm sure we'll get a flood here in a minute after you ask. So, but keep going.
Oh yeah, cool, perfect. I tell you what might be quite valuable now. Well, I'll jump into this. We'll just talk about some lighting protection. And I'll just show you it. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that, it's not just Div 23. Despite our domain expertise when we initially was all geared around Div 23 with Luke's background, we're reviewing submittals from every single division that you can, that you guys would need. So again, this is like Div 26. Actually, in kind of a chunky submittal here, we've got some lighting protection systems. But it's the same thing, guys. Fails are up top, unknowns, and then all of our passes. We can, of course, again, communicate with this submittal should we want to ask any questions about it through our chat. And yeah, it's the same thing. The submittal is going to be marked up, and then we can compare that against. In this case, it was the specs. Previously, it was just those plans as well.
On an unknown.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wanted to talk about this. So let's see. This is a common reason we see unknowns. So the design requirement has got something related to the warranty. BuildSync could not find any warranty reference to in the submittal itself. So that's a classification of unknowns that we see quite commonly, where just things are missing. Yeah. Now, one of the other really big reasons that we see unknowns, and I am going to jump into one of my trusty examples here, that we reviewed actually on a previous session, is actually design conflicts. And so where we see these surface the most is mainly geared around, and I'll just show you this example here. So as I was saying, the design conflicts are a big reason that we flag stuff as unknown. And basically what's happening here, guys, is that your plans are calling for this, and you've got like boilerplate specs that have been lifted and shifted from 20 different projects since 2017.
No.
And yeah, I know. How shocking for that to happen. But the plans and specs end up contradicting each other. So just to be clear on that, if that happens, BuildSync surfaces it. And it reads, and it's to this effect. It's essentially saying, in this one it says, note the submittal fixture calls for L50 in the product, 5,000 lumens, but the minimum lumen column calls out 6,400, which is design conflict. So this is actually caught a discrepancy in the plans themselves. It's not necessarily the plans contradicting the specs, but that's more commonly what we find. But BuildSync has just explained the submittal matches the product, but not the lumen column. Confirm design mismatch with your design team. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm conscious of time, so let's do this. Let's finish up by showing you how we export this data, and then we can. I do want to cover our submittal generation tool for you subcontractors out there, but we can knock that out in a couple of minutes. So let's just jump back into it. So
while you're
sorry,
going
go
through
ahead,
that,
Matt.
I've got a quick question. So as you're going through that, you got some unknowns. So
Yeah.
You go in there and you can manually verify, and you can say, yep, that was good. And you can toggle it from an unknown to a fail or a pass. And you can even make a fail, a pass, or a pass or fail, right? You can manually, as you're doing your review, toggle back and forth.
So do you know what most of our customers do is they actually will, and this actually ties into my next kind of demonstration. I don't know.
Sorry.
No. So it's a great question. So what most of our customers will do is they'll hit this button here, download overview. And what that's going to do is it's going to download this submittal directly into Excel. Now let's load this up. There we go. So what the Excel, we call it our compliance reports. Basically what it says it does here is it just recreates the submittal that we were just looking at. So this is for the control dampers from BuildSync in Excel. So we can see here that we have 2 products. We have 11 failing characteristics. We have 4 of those unknowns. We have 19 of those passes. This is really where most of our customers will like kind of course correct any unknowns or any failures or any passes should they decide to. So if we were like just reading this, for example, let's say I needed to get this back to my sub. I could come into here and I could say, hey, electrical sub. Or sorry, what was this? This was So yeah, sorry, mechanical sub. We have reviewed the control dampeners you submitted for this project. We have found a series of non-compliant items. We found that this characteristic failed because on the 8th page of your submittal, you stated this, the VCD-23. However, we reviewed the design documents and we can see on design file A, which in this case is the drawings, but there'll be like A, B, C if it was drawings or specs or, any other design documents. In this case, it's the drawings though. And we found on design file A, the drawings, on page 347 in section M-618, that the VCD-23 is a lighter duty controlled dampener intended for standard airflow regulation. The submittal product is not comparable to the ICD-45 model with respect to performance and materials. And then we can also see the series of other non-compliant items. Now, I don't know about you, but look, construction, the industry, you guys are so busy. You just got so much going on. It's, running a project can be like a constant firefight. So what you can do now is if you just kick this back to your sub, so if we bring up the submittal that we're talking about, this is going to be their submittal that we're looking at. We can navigate through to page 8, or at least they can, and it's already marked up with what they need to correct. So they can just make the necessary corrections, send it back to you. Some of our guys will run it through BuildSync just to make sure those corrections have been made, but not all. It's kind of your discretion. And then you can submit this through, if they have done that, you can submit this through to the design team with a high level of confidence that you're going to get it approved. You're going to get it passed through. And it works kind of the same, guys, in the sense that, if there was just some unknowns and maybe there was some design conflicts or whatever, you can just take this report here, send it directly through to your design team and say, hey, we checked this out. There's a few things that were kind of somewhat ambiguous. Maybe there's no failures, or maybe there's a couple of minor, indiscretions almost. Kick this report over to your design team. It will all be branded with your company branding. So we remove the BuildSync logo. We scrub it for any words pertaining to BuildSync. So it would say, 123 construction company has found instead of saying BuildSync has found. And yeah, you can just, move forward to getting these things approved. We do notice that once our customers start using BuildSync, really the two most common reports are, first, they save 70% of their time reviewing submittals. So if they're doing 10 hours a week, it cuts down to kind of 3. The second is that we get consistent reports for 90, occasionally 95. That is a bit kind of ambitious, but 90% first time approval rates on their submittals, compared to maybe 20 or 30, maybe they would get 80% approved first time, or maybe even 70% first time with these more like wastewater guys are notorious for getting submittals kicked back. But that's it, guys. That is what we do. That's what Luke and I have spent 4 of our years just dedicated to doing, figuring out how we can become the very best at this really niche vertical of submittal reviews.
Oh, that's cool, man. It definitely moves. It's one of those, I've seen a lot of tech tools out there that it does it's dashboarding, right? It does a lot, and it pulls all your data from all these places and gives you a dashboard that says your submittals are past due. Like, yeah, we all know. Like, that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Tool that actually does something for, kind of the men and women out there in the field doing the hard work, taking that part of that lift off their shoulders. Like, I love it.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. We hear from supers occasionally come back to us once we've implemented BuildSync. And they were saying they were on a project. Actually, that was it. We had one, and it was something with flooring. I can't quite remember. And they had this absolute nightmare on a project when the wrong flooring turned up on a job site. And so during the POC we did with them, they uploaded that very same submittal, and the super joined the call, and he was like, if it catches this, we are signing up. That's what's happening, So They upload their submittals on trial. My only condition for a trial is you give us your hardest stuff, and then we review it live together. That's the only conditions I have. And so they gave us the hardest stuff. They gave us that one, and we reviewed it live together. And it was like, that's it. And you could feel the excitement over a Teams call. You know, he didn't even have his camera on, so you could still feel that that excitement. It got it. And so I was like, oh, that's just beautiful. You know. And now we're live with like several projects with those guys. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Do you want to address a couple of questions, or do you want to jump into and do questions at the end, or do the generation?
Let's do the generation super quick, but you can ask questions as I invariably navigate through to my account.
Here's a question. Certainly see the benefit in helping the PM team the job doing it. Does this integrate into Trimble project site?
Not yet, no. But with that said, please contact me after this. As I said at the beginning, like, it's our job to be friends with everyone. And if there is like a solid reason for us to consider building out an integration, we're always open to considering it. So whoever asked that question, my DMs are open, or I'm sure Matt's got he's got a link to book a demo, or just go to BuildSync.ai and book a demo.
If you navigate to my LinkedIn profile, up in the top, the link in bio at the top, there's a button in there for Tom's Calendly link. And also, if you use that, you get 20% discount and a free trial. And
a free trial. That's it. I look after the fans of the Yeti. You know, I look after them. It's.
With that said, though, but if you don't have to. It doesn't have to integrate. You can do it all through the web app right here. You can just upload.
You totally can. I have to confess, like, I'm a bit of a software purist in the sense that I think that like workflows and minimizing friction are like critical to really solid implementations. You can absolutely, and 40 to 45% of our base do not use any integration, so it's very well versed. But I just like it when we integrate, because it's just so easy. You know, it's like, hey guys, don't change anything, but just get your submittals reviewed inside an existing workflow you use. And even your most technologically resistant member of staff will be like, have to concede, like, okay, this is just nicer, you know. It's kind of. But while we're on it, guys, for the subs that have joined, I'm not sure what the mix is, and even like any supply houses that may join. We released this tool recently, and it's geared really to those two kind of segments, if you will. But it's really the same thing. We would upload our project specifications. We're commonly seeing it just uploading like spec sheets. And what BuildSync will do is it will build fully compliant submittal packages for you. So for MEP guys that are doing this, you know, they just tend to love it. So what we would do is quite simple. Is we'd select the division we want to generate submittal packages for, select the files that we want to use. So we're going to choose, in this case, our specs, and we would then just hit generate. What BuildSync will do is it will go away and it will do really, like, again, kind of several steps similar to the submittal review tool. First thing it will do is it will extract out all of the sections that you need to submit products for from the spec book you've uploaded. The second thing it will do is it will then generate the products. So this, of course, is for Div 26, where we're seeing a lot of pull from the market. So we've got metal conduits. What we've got here, conduits again, and we've got boxes, enclosures, and cabinets. Now, what we can do here is we can actually go in and select cut sheets that have been verified to compliance. And there's going to be varying degrees of compliance. There's a little bit of, you know, decision making needed from the user. We can just jump in here, and we can see that BuildSync has generated 8 different cut sheets. So what we can do is we can have a look here. Let's just say, for this example, I would like to use this one here. I can go in. I can, again, if I want to, I can review that side-by-side comparison, just making sure that I'm happy with it. But then again, I can just select it. So let's say I want to select these models here. So I'll just select a couple, just for the sake of the demonstration. And we'll go back And again, just for the sake of the demo, I'll select Candex and Carlin. So look here, and same thing. Select let's go wild. Let's select some Eaton here, Benson. Now, what this has essentially done is the selections that I've made, and again, just to be upfront, there's more involvement than you saw there. Typically, we're seeing customers maybe verifying it, maybe even adding their own cut sheet if they know like a GC or a subcontractor prefers a certain product or whatever it is. They can just upload it themselves manually. But essentially what this does is we can now come in and generate a submittal package. So we can see here, the submittal package the BuildSync has generated, as we see here. And the first thing to state is that it will not be branded BuildSync if you are using it yourself. Every single product, same with the compliance reports, every single customer we work with, we just include their logo, their cover sheet that they're kind of using. But what it does, it just has all the information that pertains to the particular section. It then has what you are actually submitting on, and then it attaches all of the cut sheets themselves. So again, I'm not sure how many subs we have here, any MEP subs in particular that we have on today's call. But for those that it's kind of a thankless task doing this stuff. And again, it's the same thing. We're noticing with our customers, we're getting them up to about 70% of the way there. So if you spend, it's not uncommon to spend the best part of a day generating a large submittal package. We'll cut that down to like 2 or 3 hours of your time. So
that library of documents, is that something you can share across like your whole enterprise? You can set it up and these are all the ones that our company is approved to use essentially, and then it's shared out to your whole team?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And what we can actually do as well is that, part of the building of this product has actually been building out BuildSync's internal kind of cut sheet library for what, if you will. And sometimes, there's just gaps. So what we do when we're talking to a potential customer, especially these earlier days, this has been out in the wild now for a couple of months, is if they have an internal cut sheet library that they use and they know they use these products all the time, they can actually just share that with us and we can upload that to their instance of BuildSync. What we can also do that we didn't kind of talk about is that let's say you always use like Nibco or Vega or whoever it may be. You can actually, inside the app, set those favorites so that BuildSync will surface them as kind of the top choice as well. So
that's pretty cool.
Really what we're trying to do as a company, the strategic, I think in startups sometimes, when you lose focus, you lose results. We are moving towards that kind of platform play where we're kind of but we are just laser focused on submittals. That's all Luke and I and the engineering team. It's all we kind of, we're the most boring people in the pub, I can assure you. We just want to talk about submittals. But yeah, that's how we're getting the results we're getting. That's why we're getting people coming back, and that's why we're saving the time.
Yeah, I think when you try to solve 50 problems, you kind of half-ass it all. But when you try to solve one problem really well, you can really go deep and really find those little nuanced issues that are tripping people up.
You really do. You really do. It's it's a cliche in SaaS, but it's true. You dominate one niche problem, but do it at a world-class level, and that's how we measure success by happy customers. That's how we get there. So,
I'm gonna throw some more questions at you.
Go for it,
guys. We got about 10 minutes left. We're gonna wrap up around 1 o'clock Central Time. So, if you got any other questions or comments or thoughts, or you hate it, let us know.
Oh, please, guys. Look, I don't mind people telling me that my baby is ugly. I don't mind. So if there's any more skeptical questions, can we say, just let me have them. It's no problem.
Can we add RFIs to the review process as well?
Better if we do it through Procore, and we can add. Oh God, it's like Luke will address it in the chat. It's called related items, I believe, but Luke will clarify for me specifically what it is called. So the answer is yes, but it is much better if we do it through Procore, because we can kind of tag the submittals related to this particular RFI.
And it's got the whole RFI log there too.
Totally.
So
it's easier for you and it's easier for BuildSync. So
a minute ago, you said you check in a project site, and Luke said, yes, we can integrate. He was already on top of you. We can integrate.
There you go. There you go. You can tell Luke does product and tech, and I do talking. So yeah, for sure. There we go. Bingo. Let's make it happen.
Let me go back to one I had here. Drake had a couple long comments, so kind of get into these, but he says, I like the human in the loop approach. As customers scale this across multiple projects, what governance framework and implementation methodology do you recommend to ensure AI remains accurate, auditable, and aligned with engineering standards over time?
Okay. Who asked the question?
Drake Shields.
Drake, can we? That's a long, nuanced question that I'm not sure will be suitable for like just explaining through in 8 minutes. I like having those conversations. Would you mind reaching out to me on LinkedIn or however, or even book a demo, and we can certainly have that conversation, because there's a lot going on there with that question.
Overall, I mean, you guys are staying on top of things, and as technology is evolving,
you
guys are constantly implementing changes and stuff. And I mean, obviously, you have certified engineers, licensed engineers, so they're obviously staying up to date with the changes in the world and environment. And
of course, I mean, we to that end, you're absolutely right, Matt. Like, we have to, otherwise we don't have a complete product. But yeah, I'd love to have those conversations. That'd be great.
Drake had another really long, interesting comment about digital twin solutions with it. So I think that's a really nuanced question. Drake, reach out to Tom, and I guarantee he'll have a chat with you about it.
Yeah, please do. I enjoy those kind of mental chewing gum-esque conversations. So yeah, just reach out. It'd be great.
Keon has another one. If the submittal you are reviewing is missing a spec requirement, will BuildSync point this out as fail or missing data? Missing data.
So if there's a spec requirement that is on the, it's actually this example here. I'd have to jump into another account. So if there's a spec requirement that is stated that it needs to have X, Y, Z, and that is not, kind of like the example that I showed with the missing one, where I think it was related to the warranty. There was a warranty that was listed on the on the design documents that correspondingly didn't appear on the submittal itself. So yeah, that kind of stuff will certainly flag for you.
Here's one. This is Casey says, we do the same thing over and over and feel like we repeat efforts. How can this help?
Repeat efforts with reviewing submittals?
I think so. I think the question is kind of you get into workflow, right? And you kind of, I think you get stuck on a hamster wheel,
Yeah. I think, I mean, if we boil that down to a simple, so if you are sitting and again, some of the people that I'm talking to, particularly at the beginning of a project, are sitting, and it's that cliche, they're sitting in the job site trailer, but it's cliche for a reason. It happens. And you have a ton of other things to do that are frankly often more interesting and more valuable to your personal development than matching a lighting fixture against some sort of fixture schedule. BuildSync will take the heavy lifting out of the submittal for you. It will provide you with the critical insights that you need to make a good decision, e.g., do I kick this back to my sub or do I send it to my design team? And also why? So if that's kind of the root of the question, Casey, is how can this help? I would love you to try it on one of your most complex submittals, because I'm quietly confident that you'll see that if we were to roll this out to the company at scale, we will be saving that kind of 70% time taken on the submittals, and your submittal approval rate with the design teams or GCs you're working with will improve quite significantly.
The funny thing about submittals is, this is just a thought I've had over time, is submittals are, it's crucial. It's a very beginning part of the project, but it's probably the worst possible time to be locked into a trailer and office reviewing submittals, because you're trying to get a project set up. You're trying to get people mobilized on the site. You're trying to handle all kinds of things. And to reduce the time you spent just matching plans and specs to product data frees you up to do, all the other things you need to do to get a project started off on the right foot.
For sure. I remember when we first started the company, I tried to review like some simple ones, like super simple ones. It's like 3 pages. I think it was actually ball valves. And I was like, because I really wanted to understand like the pain, like how difficult this was. And again, I had super easy ones. And I was just like, oh, I can't imagine doing that for a day. And I dare I say that, a lot of construction people, they want the cool thing, and I even like it, on my side of the fence in construction, is that you can see what's getting built and you have something so tangible in front of you. And it's like there's a sense of accomplishment with that. And that's probably, I would assume, why people like yourself, Matt, got into this industry. It wasn't to lock yourself away and just hit Control F on 400 pages of plumbing fixtures. So if we can make that process retain the educational element of it while making it just a considerably more efficient of a process, a lot of our prospective customers kind of see it as, it's a no-brainer.
It's funny. I mean, I have a civil engineering degree, but I got mostly through engineering school, and I realized I don't want to be locked in an office doing engineering calculations and stuff. I want to go to the field, and so then you go to the field.
Yeah.
You're locked in an office doing, submittals and RFIs and all the administrative.
Yeah. Even on my side of the fence, I love getting it. I've been to several project sites where BuildSync is being used. It's just fun, just seeing stuff again so tangibly being built, and it's just it's just cool.
Here we go. We got a question here. Coming from an EC, I think he's electrical contractor, I love the idea behind specifically the submittal generator, as I feel the submittal review is being accomplished across the industry as AI progresses. For the generator, has there been a thought to somehow include pricing, at least in your library, to suggest the parts that are compliant but also cost effective? That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's a good question. High level, it's something that we've had internal discussions about, but just to be really candid, it is not something on the roadmap that's going to be coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. It's a bit of a longer lead. What really we want to, again, going back to my point about sort of, BuildSync, we're laser focused on certain areas. For the submittal generator right now, we're becoming laser focused on making sure the completeness of data in terms of the library, and just purely generating the package. And there's some actually ancillary functionality that's related to that we're looking to release. But yeah, it's something we've discussed high level, but it's a kind of watch this space type of thing. Mid Q1, Q2, 2027, chat to me, or even use it now, and you'll see the kind of evolution of the product as you go through your usage.
We are at 1 p.m. Central. We got a couple here that are just not questions, but Michael Steiner says, thanks, y'all. That was interesting.
Cool. Thanks, Michael.
Parnianon says, from Seattle, thank you, guys. This was amazing in so many ways.
There we go. Awesome.
So appreciate everybody hanging out, spending their lunch hour or before or after. Depends on what coast you live on.
Breakfast hour out on the West Coast here. So.
You having your brunch?
That's it.
And you go see if Norway's winning the soccer game. So
see them rowing into the stadium. So.
I saw clips of them all in a bar out in Dallas getting ready for the game, and there was the entire bar was rowing. It was wild.
Yeah. Did you see the Scots drank Boston Dry? They had to order in. That's so. I mean, coming from the UK, that's not all that surprising. But
Boston's a drinking town.
Yeah, Boston, they do. They don't mind a pint. Yeah, they're not averse to it. So, awesome.
Well, Tom, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's been great. All right. Cheers, everyone. See you next time. Thank you.
Everybody out there, I'll go ahead and put the link again, but if you want to get on Tom's calendar, there's the special Construction Yeti Calendly link, and that gives you the 20% discount and a free trial. And then, like Tom said, throw your worst ones in there, and I think you'll be surprised. I know I was. I blew Tom off like 3 times last year, and I was like, there's no way.
Watch some of the earlier ones of these on YouTube, and you will hear the story of Matt blowing me off repeatedly, kind of thinking I can smell BS with this guy saying he's going to use AI to review submittals, because it's very true. I was like, I was persistent though, and we got there in the end. So.
But I threw my messiest ones in there, and I was like, okay, dude, let's talk.
Yeah. That's it. So,
thanks, man.
Awesome, guys. Cheers. See you later.